everybody, welcome to our High Road X review. Few new things going on. First of all, I've got a new layout, 75 by 4 3/4 by 55 for the dual angle crowd, 4 3/4 by 5.5 by 3.5 for the pin buffer crowd. It gives me a bit more length down the lane and blends the back end transition a little better while giving me a good compromise on the pin distance. 5 1/4 just wasn't quite as continuous off the end of the pattern as I'd like. I've also started filming at an additional center too, which I'll talk about when we get there, but let's go to the ball. I got a chance to bowl on the worst lane in the center. If you've seen my physics video, I talked about it there too. It had some traffic on it, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to show some stuff in garbage time. I thought if it looks good on this lane after it's been beat up, that'd tell me a whole lot more than I normally get. And I think you can be the judge here. As far as reaction goes, it feels like a strong high road pearl. It's got a really similar shape, but it's a solid arrow stronger. It's pretty easy down the lane, and with that higher of an RG, anything that says high road on it is going to be breezy through the heads. Now, you'll see in a minute when I add in the high road that the X appears to be a bit longer down the lane, but it really just blends the back end of the pattern a bit more. The first shot I showed with the X was from the same alignment as the high road, but that didn't last long. I started inching left and ended up comfortably about 3 boards inside of where I was at with the high road. So it does hook a bit more, but it's a little tricky to see. It's a bit like the Intense Fire in that respect. It's really easy down the lane and controlled on the back end for how much it really does hook. The high road is cleaner through the fronts, hashtag ball review cliche, but it's noticeably quicker on friction and sharper and straighter on the back end. Now, one huge thing that I noticed with the X is it doesn't seem to have that typical high road cliff. There's a certain point when moving left that you really have to start wrapping around it and slowing it down to get it to rev and continue through the pins because of how high that RG is and how long it naturally wants to go. But I didn't reach that point with this one. I could really get as deep as I wanted with it, and while obviously I did have to slow it down a bit and get around it a little bit more, it's a house shot, it's sludgy in the middle, it never tried to stand up or quit. It continued to continue. And as you can see when comparing to the High Road Pearl, it shares the shape similarity more with it, but is quicker on the back end, and it's somewhere in between the Pearl and OG for me in terms of quickness on the back end. I'll show a couple shots of the Nano just for the heck of it, but there's not a ton of similarity here. The Nano shape's more like the OG, and it's just a lot stronger than the other three due to that Nano cover. Now, Angel sees a similar look with hers. Hers is a bit sharper on the back end than mine is. Now, this is a fresh condition, but this should grab the attention of a lot of people with similar games. It will get about the best combination of length and power on the back end that a slower speed and or lower rev bowler is going to get on average league conditions, period. It was actually kind of funny as she was bowling league, she kept having to move left, not because it wouldn't get down the lane, but because of how boomy it is on the back end. I could actually see a lot of people needing to knock the shine off of it. For her, the high road isn't quite as angular as it is for me, but still a sharper shape more than an arc, if that makes sense. On to the new center, which is Gage Center, which was recently acquired by the same owners as my home center. They have fairly freshly installed new lanes, only a couple years old. This is a fresh shot, and the reaction is familiar, but feels really different. First of all, there's a few extra boards outside to throw at, and much stronger read inside, so it's easier to freewheel and rip on it here. I don't have to roll it so much, as the response on the back end across the board is much quicker. I had quite a bit of fun recording here. I actually had to try to miss to get a couple shots that didn't strike, and I got all the video I needed as quick as I've ever gotten it. I've been asked to bowl on sport patterns before, but lane surface and topography can be a much bigger factor in my opinion. I have actually used sport patterns for the videos before, but the house characteristics are so dominant that I rarely have to move to a different zone on the lane regardless of what's out there. Here I believe I'll see a much closer read to what Tamer sees, namely a bit more forgiveness and more shape out of everything. Both the X and OG are quicker on the back end here. I felt like I had more room at the pocket and down the lane with the X than the OG, but I also struck on the first 8 shots after I turned the camera on with the OG too, so the bottom line for me here is that the X is definitely a worthy addition to the High Road line and a fitting ball to celebrate the High Road's 10th anniversary. It's an obvious beast, and while the OG is still the GOAT, I feel like the X wins the versatility contest. Angel and I are both very happy with the X, and despite how different our games are, I think you can see it looks equally as impressive for both of us. This releases with the physics on October 19th. Thanks for watching. For extra premium content, early access, behind-the-scenes looks, private Q&As, blogs, and more, join a passionate new type of bowling community at www.patreon.com/Luke Rosdahl.